welcome. We're at the top of the hour. So building yourself in high school. So this is for teens or parents and their teens, mostly high school is what it was created. So I'm super passionate about Southwestern Consulting. Christian actually coaches my son for 2 years. So he has agreed to do this free webinar for our sphere of influence. We're also streaming on Facebook, super fun. So I wanted to introduce myself, but really then I'm going to hand it over to Christian. So I'm Jennifer Hernandez. I've been a loan officer for 26 years, referral only, and I'm always looking for value to give back to families, just to have better lives. And so Christian and I were chatting about something totally different, and we brainstormed this idea. And I thought, oh my gosh, we're going to try this. This is so much fun to just get kids in the zone of having a productive summer, because it's crunch time right now, right? 10th grade, 11th grade. So yeah. So anyway, I'm a loan officer. If you need a loan, call me, but that's not what this is about. I also have a YouTube channel with over 300 videos about mortgage. So I'm super passionate about that and education, which is why we are here. So that's the only commercial that you'll get on this. But I wanted to share that. So I would like to let Christian, I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about himself. All I can tell you is that for the last 2 years, we started with a certain coach when Diego started in July of, July of 2020.
Yeah.
And that coach, got out, he was with him for about 6 months, and then things transitioned. And so he's been almost 1.5 years with Christian, and we have really had such a great time. So it's been really fantastic to see how, young people are mentored, and we've seen a great impact that it's had. So Christian, I can't wait for you to share what you've got today for those that are joining us.
All right, let's do it. Well, hello, friends. I am Christian DeBay. I'm coming here from Nashville, Tennessee. So I got to be a part of the founding of this whole student coaching thing a couple of years ago. To give you a background, we're based on a professional coaching program called Southwestern Consulting. So Jen kind of worked with our professional coaching program for years, and she still does. And at some point we were like, we could help young people with some similar, content more styled for where they're at. So then came March 2020, and that's literally like as soon as COVID started, we started coaching kids on Zoom. So it worked out for us in that sense. So yeah, I'm going to share just some ideas that are applicable really all year round, but I think especially can be valuable over the summer because we talk a lot about vision and goals and some big picture stuff. So, the school year can be challenging. There's athletics, there's academics, there's all these different things going on. So the summer is actually a pretty cool time to be able to have a little bit of extra time to kind of air out some bigger ideas, work on some different projects over the summer. So my hope is that you guys get some valuable info, throughout this and leave with a couple nuggets and towards the end, actually, there we go. Yeah, towards the end, I'll give you like an idea of what coaching is a little bit and an opportunity to learn more if you want to. But we're going to do a little interactive thing because I know in these webinars, it's going to be mostly me talking to you guys out in the interwebs. But what is one thing that'd be cool to accomplish this summer? So if you're a parent watching this with your kid, you can ask them and you can shoot me a text with it. If you could just text me your name, your answer to that question, and then your favorite GIF. It's got to be cool. It's got to be silly. That's the requirement. That's what I'm hoping for, is funny GIFs that I can send to other people. So what's one thing that'd be cool to accomplish this summer? So, and if you're a parent watching this alone, what's one thing that might be cool for you, or what would be cool for your kid to accomplish this summer? And that would just be something I'd encourage you to kind of think about. How does that play into some of the stuff that we're going to talk about? And what are we going to talk about? It's nice to know what's coming. So we're going to first start out by just talking about why the summer is a good time to grow, why it's an optimal season to be thinking about some growth. I'm going to hopefully equip you guys with some practical ideas and strategies that will make a difference. And then we'll talk about how student coaching is a resource. We'll do a quick little couple question interview with Jen, where I'll pick her brain about some things she's liked about coaching for her son. And then we will answer hopefully some questions at the end. We're going to keep it under an hour because attention spans on Zooms, an hour's already pushing it, so we'll probably be well under that. But if we have some time at the end, feel free to put questions in the chat box, and we'll hopefully be able to respond to some of those towards the end. So let's do it. So why grow over the summer? So, man, growing over the summer, it already, like, for some kids, it's like, really, mom? Like, really, dad? Like, I do so much of the school year now. Like, I got to do more stuff over the summer. So hopefully that's not the vibe, but if that is the vibe, like, why talk about the summer? I know my dad always used to say, like, your brain's going to turn to mush just playing video games, and like, go outside, like, that kind of stuff. I'm sure you guys have said something like that too. So they've done some studies on this, and just from an academic standpoint, you lose about 2 months worth of reading. You lose about 2 months worth of math. The first 6 weeks of the next school year is oftentimes spent reviewing last year, so you can kind of knock the cobwebs off of getting your head back on straight, getting back into school mode. And that's just academics. And it's usually like later in high school where kids start kicking themselves, like, man, I should have taken on a work opportunity or done some volunteer work, done some more stuff to just look impressive to these colleges that I'm now applying to, or just on a personal note, find some personal projects and some fun passions that you actually have time to pursue. So what we're not going to talk about, just as a disclaimer on the front end, we're not going to talk about how to stress yourself out and how to be a widget maker and just do a whole bunch of really productive stuff, and like, that would be no fun for the summer if that was the vibe. Sorry, there's a dog barking in my driveway, and there's never a dog here, so I don't know what's happening, but okay, I'm not distracted. We're back. All right, so the whole goal of this is to not just like overwhelm people with doing a whole bunch of stuff over the summer, because no kid's going to do that. So what we will talk about today is how to have a cool summer. Yeah, so how to have a fun summer in multiple different ways, right? So how do we just continue to have, like, your normal summer in the sense of like the recharge the batteries type thing, but how can we leverage our time, our free time over the summer for growth and for some productivity as well? So I like quotes. So here's a quote for you. Who you are someday going to be, you're now becoming. Every single day, we're becoming more of one person or another. And so often in summers, like, you kind of hit the snooze button on your brain for a few months. And there's really no real reason in procrastinating our purpose, procrastinating becoming the person that we want to become. So having all of this free time over the summer, you get to step more and more into that person that you seek to become. And that's why the summer is beautiful for growth. So these are the few things that we're going to talk about when it comes to the tool belt. What are some big hits? So these are some core principles, some core topics that we spend a lot of time helping kids develop, helping kids build out in coaching. And it's oftentimes like, if I ask a kid, like, what's your vision, or like, what are your goals, or they're like, have you ever set a goal? And they're thinking about it, and they've got some like loose ideas. So sometimes when you have these conversations, it can be a little challenging, because you're thinking more about getting your homework turned in, or you're thinking more about going to practice and your tournament this weekend, than you are thinking about like what you want to study in college, and what you might want to do for a career one day, and what kind of house you might want to live in, that kind of stuff. You're not always thinking about it all the time. So hopefully in talking about each of these topics, you'll have some ideas to have some conversations over the summer about these things. So here we go. Creating vision. So the first couple points here. What is the best aim I could shoot for this summer? What's the best aim? And I always say, when we're working with students, and when they're trying to create vision for the first time, it can be intimidating. We don't want to pick the wrong thing. But here's the deal. Like, we just got to pick something. We just have to pick the best thing that we can fathom, that we can imagine, and pursue that. Because when you start pursuing a vision and you start shooting after something, then one, you're moving, you're creating some vision. But two, by the time some time has passed, you're going to get better at aiming. You're going to get better at figuring out what it is you want, you're going to learn how to live with a little bit more intention. So whether that's academically, keeping up or getting ahead, physically, mentally, socially, financially, or from a friend and family perspective, how am I doing? Where am I at in these different areas? Where could I be growing over the summer? And here's such a huge thing when it comes to vision. Like your team, they have to own their own vision. So much of their life has been kind of laid out for them, but it's in those teenage years when they start to think more for themselves and whatnot. So the more that you can get them assuming ownership, assuming responsibility, and deciding things that they want on their own, then it's less, hey, you have to do this. Did you do that? Did you do this? And feeling like you're kind of like dragging them forward towards their future. They're more motivated. They're more self-driven when they have that sense of ownership over the thing that they want to accomplish. And ultimately, like when they've come up with that idea of what they want to accomplish, they're developing why. They're developing their own kind of emotional purpose and their own drive towards what it is that they want to do. And with creating a vision, if it's like, well, why create a vision and why set all these goals? It's like, well, if we're just going to be living life, we might as well be growing while we're doing it. Because I don't know, I've had mentors tell me that, like, if you're not growing, you're rotten. And that sounds kind of intense. But if you think about it, like we're always progressing in one way or another. So if we're creating vision, if we're setting some new intention, we're going to develop that growth mindset, and it'll serve us well in every single area of life. If we're trying to be the best that we can be, if we show up the best that we possibly can in all these different areas listed here. So we've created some vision now, fun little projects you can do. There's things like creating a vision board, creating a vision document. I've had some of our students in coaching have literally like written a story, like an illustrated novel, like where they've like created like dozens of pages, and they're just talking about the life that they're excited about creating. So have fun with all of this stuff. You can get really creative, but those are just a couple little ideas as far as how you can create some vision. So setting some goals. All right, so the vision is like that, like that big, like kind of grand plans and all these big things that we want to do. That's kind of like, I always like to call that the art. Like that's like the, that part of it. But then the goals, that's more of the science. Like, how are we going to get there? Like, let's be real about this. Like, if you want to do this, what do we need to be doing in the meantime to get to that place that you're excited about getting to? And that's what setting goals helps with. So I'm just going to give you guys some examples of goals that some of our students have worked on over the summer. Some parents are seeing get a job. They're like, I'm liking where this guy is going. Yes, my son, my daughter, they could get a job. We could get them out of the house a little bit more, right? So it's obviously a great financial type thing over the summer, setting a goal from the financial perspective. It also helps socially. I've worked with kids that are, they have a hard time putting themselves out there, like going to see friends outside of school, unless it's like on Discord or on Snapchat, that kind of thing, FaceTime. So it forces them out of their comfort zone when they have to go to work, go deal with customers and people. So if you have somebody who's younger than a teenager, there's no excuse to not have like some entrepreneurial spirit, right? We've had a 12-year-old Keaton. This kid is crazy. It's awesome. So he literally created a business where each trash day in his neighborhood, he takes people's trash out to the curb for them. $5 a pop. The kid is making like almost $1,000 a month, and like not even a teenager yet. So it's wild. So he did it kind of to get out of his comfort zone, because he literally went to go knock on people's doors initially to offer his service, and it's turned into this thing. And they posted about it on like the neighborhood Facebook page or whatever, and he's been blowing up. So filling up your time with making a little money, and then you can set goals based around like, what would I like to buy with something that that I want. What can I save up for this summer, or could I just save in general? Because that's a good thing. You don't have to spend every dollar that you make. That's a good habit to be forming now, of course, too. So a summer academic project. So whether that's a specific subject that you're kind of working on, or we'll relate this more to college. One of the kids that I work with, Alex, so he's got a couple different kind of academia type things going on in the summer. One, obviously the summer is a great time for college visits. getting to go see yourself there on campus, booking the times to go get your tour from the tour guides and whatnot is a beautiful thing. But Alex is like so many other high school kids. He has some clue, but he's not really super confident in what he wants to do in college. So one of the areas that he's interested in is film. And he's not taken really many film classes. He hasn't done many film projects or anything like that. So one of the things that he's working on this summer is coming up with a game plan to create some kind of media where it utilizes film, and he's got to use his creative brain and whatnot. So rather than waiting for college, and maybe I'll like that, I'll take some classes about that. It's like, let's take some initiative. Like, let's create a game plan to go actually create some art this summer. And then what happens, you figure out, I like this or I don't like it, and you get more confidence towards what it is that you're trying to figure out that you want to do. Because so many high school kids, they're just kind of showing up to college like, all right, I'm here. That's what I was supposed to be doing, right? I've made it. So now what? So if you spend some time thinking about the now what here in the now, then by the time you get in college, then you've gone through a process and you figured out more about what you do like and what you don't like. So kind of finding some ways to explore potential future opportunities in the here and now is a beautiful way to leverage your summer. Losing or gaining a couple pounds. So some of the kids I work with, they're literally, they've got like their fitness routine, and like they're working out a certain amount of times a week. Yes, I'm helping teenagers learn about nutrition too. Yes, they're not always super excited to trade their cereal for oatmeal or like a yogurt parfait, but like that's sacrifice. Here we are. So the summer is just this beautiful time to be able to just work on your fitness. And the cool thing about all these different things is when you're setting goals, regardless of what area it's in, when you learn how to set a goal, when you learn how to check in with yourself and pursue that goal, you're going to build confidence. And that confidence has a ripple effect into literally every part of life. So if you have some cool physical feat over the summer, then that's going to set you up with more confidence going into the next school year. It's like, I did a hard thing this summer. Like I ran this fast of a mile, or I ran a 5K, if that's going to be out of your comfort zone. For some of the kids that I work with, a half marathon might be out of their comfort zone. So can we push ourselves? Can we achieve some kind of confidence building feat over the summer? And then briefly catching up, getting ahead, ACT, SAT prep. It's not the most exciting thing, of course. This summer, it's the best time in a lot of ways to be prepping for those tests. A lot of times, the first session that you're going to do it is in the fall, those tests, right? And you don't have a whole bunch of homework and you don't have tests over the summer. So having some kind of regimented, devoted time to studying for ACT, SAT, the summer is a great time to do that. Or if there's a subject that you're just feeling a little behind on, or you just want to get ahead because you know that chemistry is going to be really hard next year. So maybe I can get a little bit of a preview for what that's going to be like. So I'm not, totally blindsided by how tough that's going to be next year. The summer can be great for that. Athletic goal. So I'll talk about Diego in this one here. So for Diego, one of the things that we're working on, because he's been grinding out, it's like end of the school year. He's a crazy talented cheerleader and he's traveling all over the country all the time. And not too far from now, he's going to be like navigating the college decision. And like, he wants to go D1 athlete route. So in order to do that, at some point randomly you'll get messages from coaches and whatnot, but showing initiative. And one of the things that we're doing is we're creating a little athletic account for him that allows you, it's called NCSA. You're allowed to basically talk and network with coaches. So that's going to require a little work. He's got to create almost a little portfolio over the summer. So he's got to clip out some videos. He's got to do some specific moves that a coach is going to find impressive, that'll garner some interest. So so rather than waiting for the perfect athletic scholarship opportunity to fall from the sky, you make things happen. And actually another story on that front, one of my other students that I've worked with, Nathan, goes to school over in New Mexico. And he literally from leveraging some of those tools that I mentioned, the NCSA tool, he's been in North Carolina for his freshman year of college playing esports. Yes, esports. It's a thing these days. It's crazy. So anyway, initiative goes a long way with that. And then mom and dad, you might like this one, replacing some technology time with some family time. Some mental health goals here. On average, I'd say for the kids I work with, and I've heard the statistic thrown around elsewhere, 8+ hours a day on cell phones. And it's worse over the summer because there's more free time. So for some of our kids, that's a fourth to a third of their life is just spent right here. So it's uncomfortable. It's in its own right a sort of epidemic, I'd say, in our culture right now, is our obsession with screens. So setting some goals when you have some free time to be able to be responsible with those screens and to have a healthier relationship with technology is huge. So whether that's a screen limit, whether that's a video game limit. One of the students I work with, Caleb, over in Colorado, for him, he's literally because he's got like rugby and he works at Chick-fil-A, and he's a busy high school kid, like he's crazy busy. So when he gets home, he kind of just wants to shut off and like go in his room and shut his door and kind of play video games. None of you parents probably know anything about teenage boys doing that, I'm sure, right? Okay, no, they do that all the time. So one of the goals that he's working on is literally just for 10 minutes, at least, leaves his cell phone in his room and goes and interacts with his family. We're literally keeping track of whether he does that each and every day. So it's just a simple little thing. But it was so funny getting to hear Caleb's like, yeah, like it was kind of interesting asking about like my mom and dad's day. Like they got a whole day going on themselves too, right? And it's like, wow, interaction. It's amazing. So anyway, those are just some examples of some of the goals that some of our students, some of the projects that our kiddos have worked on over the summer. And then I'll just throw a little acronym at you. I didn't put this on the slide, but if you're wondering, like, how do I set a really good goal? The SMART acronym is beautiful for that. So if you Google literally like SMART goal, meaning, you'll find the acronym. It's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. So it's just a concrete way. Because like if your goal is like, I want to get healthier this summer, it's like, that's a nice thought, it's a nice sentiment, but it's not really specific about what it is that you're actually aiming at. So that's what setting a SMART goal will help you do. All right, so we've got some vision, we've got some goals, and now how do we do it? We got to put all of this in our schedule. So, and if you don't make time for it, it ain't gonna happen. If you're trying to develop a new habit, if there's some new way that you're trying to get out of your comfort zone this summer, if you're not, coming at that goal with a little structure, it's going to get tossed to the side. You're not going to have, if you're relying on like, just like feeling really inspired randomly and spontaneously all the time to go do something hard, it's just not gonna happen. So a couple of the ideas that we talk about to utilize over the summer, especially, is batching our activity in a power morning routine, we might want to call it. So for so much of the goals, like if your goal is like, I want to read, like I want to exercise this summer, and like I want to do this, like if you really add up the hours and how much time all that stuff takes, for some kids that might mean an hour of productivity a day. That might mean a couple hours if it's a little bit more ambitious, or a few hours. And if you can just do that early off in the day, and you make like literally a sequential like hour by hour type thing, like just for those few hours, like this is my productivity time, and then it's summertime kind of like after that. But like for a couple hours each day, like I get on my grind, I do these things, I'm sharpening my mind, I'm sharpening my brain, I've got like, this is my goal time right here. And then I can go play with my friends, and I can go get on the game, or do whatever, go be a kid, right? So, and if you do that, then what you end up having is a deeper level of appreciation for your free time. It's especially true during the year. One of the kids that I work with, James, over in Nebraska, one of the things that we worked on, we've only done a couple calls, but instead of going to the park, and getting distracted with his friends directly after school, he first starts with his schoolwork. So that way he can go be stress-free with his friends, right? Because if he's playing with his friends at the park after school and he's got his homework, he knows he's got that homework. He's got it hanging over his head, and then stays up till like 8, or starts working on it at like 8 something, and then stays up late. The whole cycle, right? So being a little bit more proactive, that's a school year type thing. But even in the summer, like if you're having a productive morning, we all know this from those mornings, like if we're working out, if we do a little journaling or some prayer or meditation time, whatever those things are that fill our cup up, that recharge our battery, the way that we live that day is just we're on fire. We've got like jet fuel going if we feel really good about the morning and about how we utilize that first part of the day. So batching that time, keeping it in the morning, the first part of the day, because we only have so much self-discipline in the tank when we wake up in the morning. So kind of keeping those things that take a little bit more discipline earlier in the day is really helpful. Oh, and then as far as a schedule, Google Calendar. Not very crazy or like wow, Google Calendar, how did you come up with that? Yeah, it's basic, but utilizing basic tools is the deal. You don't need to reinvent the wheel to hit your goals. You just need a good schedule. And you got to follow through. And that's what the next part's about. It's following through, accountability. So accountability is so huge, because you can have the vision, you can have the goals, you can have a game plan, but now are you actually doing what you say you're going to do? And that's what accountability can help out with. So as far as accountability, like really what accountability is, it's positive nudges towards the direction you set yourself out for. Direction you set out for yourself. So the beauty is when you have a kid that feels like they have some ownership over their vision, like this is why I want this is what I want, then if they're falling short, then it's not just like why aren't you doing it? It's like, hey man, like you said this is what you want, like this is where our activity is, like what are we going to do? Are we going to lower our goals to meet like the activity that we're putting into them right now? Or do we need to raise our activity up to the level that will help us hit our goals? And that's a them thing. Like they have to decide, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want the thing that you said you wanted? And when you're approaching accountability from that perspective, when it's something that they want, that they said they're going to go after, that they want to do, then the vibe of accountability is a lot different. When it's not assigned, it's assumed, right? So, all right, cool. The ideas I wanted to throw out here when it comes to accountability, we're doing great on time, by the way. We only have a couple slides left. So, but stay with me. I don't want to distract you. Here we go. All right. So self-accountability, these are the 3 types. There's self-accountability, there's escalated accountability, and then there is peer-to-peer accountability. So self-accountability is, just obviously checking in with yourself. Did I go work out? I said I wanted to work out today. Did I do it? Okay. There's escalated accountability. That is mom and dad accountability. That is teacher accountability. That is like athletic coach accountability. And then there's peer-to-peer accountability. Somebody who you feel like you're kind of like on the same level as, they have a similar goal that they're shooting for, that they're pursuing. It's on that, like, we're on the same page type level. We're kind of in the trenches together. So I'd say that us as student coaches, we're kind of a mixture of escalated, and it feels peer-to-peer a little bit too, but they know that they're the coach and there's going to be some action that they're following up with when they meet with us. But whether that's our coaching program, or whether that's a friend of theirs, finding some like-minded people that are down to set some goals and are ambitious in finding those types of people, it's absolutely huge. You are the 5 closest people that you spend the most time with. You're going to be the average of them, right? So if you're putting yourself around people that are goal oriented, that want to be high achievers, that are pushing themselves, then you're going to fit right in with that. And then the opposite can be true as well. So I kind of mentioned this already, but ownership over that process, and when you've done the few previous steps, you're going to be more driven to want to actually follow through, because you feel like you've really owned that process. So this is just a free little resource for you guys. Our company didn't create this app, but I use it with all of my students. I have some parents that, like, are on there with their kids too, so they can kind of keep track of, what they've got going on. So Duke, he's actually one of my unschooled kids. I don't work with a ton of unschooled families, but he needed some structure because being unschooled, not a crazy amount of structure, right? So for him, like that batched morning activity was really, really important. And these are some of the things that he would work on there. So Habit Share, it's like an accountability social media app. So if you download that with your kids and like you guys become friends on there, and they've got like these goals, you literally just get a notification every day. Did you do it? Did you not do it? And even if it's just them utilizing that app for themselves, then man, there's just something about seeing a couple of days of red in a row. You're like, no, I want green. I need to do this. All right, cool. More green. Let's go. So that is immensely helpful. Just having something that you can physically see, based on the action that I said I wanted to do, how consistently am I doing in the follow through process? So this is a great resource, or you can make a habit checklist. Those are available, Google Images. You can find one on there, make your own. But having something where you can really track your activity and keep yourself accountable to what you say you want to do is a huge, huge deal. So, and this will be my little plug here as far as that's where we kind of come in is the accountability piece. Someone who's not mom and dad that's able to have some of these conversations where it's just devoted to these types of topics. Families are really busy. So, talking about the 5-year vision isn't like a thing that you get to do every single day, always, right? So just super quick, when it comes to the structure of what we're all about with student coaching, what we do is we do bi-weekly calls each month. They're about 50 or so minutes long. It's one-on-one. It's all, relationship building. It's an ongoing dialogue. And then we have accountability touches in between calls. So it just so happens that there's always like a few kids that need a little extra accountability in this or that area. So sometimes as coaches, we take the liberty to go above and beyond. So I'm going to pick on Diego a little bit. So getting up at 6 a.m., it's not his favorite thing in the world to do. So Diego, during the school week, is having to FaceTime me at 6 in the morning when he's supposed to get up. First thing, he's up, time to FaceTime Christian. I get up at 6 too. So, and if it's 6:01 and I haven't heard from him yet, Christian's FaceTiming Diego. So again, that's not something that we're going to do forever, but that gives you an idea, like, especially with the habit share and, those little touch points in between calls, it's kind of like your feet to the fire. And that there's that inbuilt expectation that, like, I'm going to talk to Christian a couple of weeks from now. He's going to be asking about what I said I was going to do. And then it's a really fun kind of 3-way approach here. We've got a 30-minute parent check-in each month with families too. So Jen and me, we've become homies for sure throughout this process, because we get to chat each month and we get kind of like a high level overview. We're not gossiping and doing tattletale sessions. It's not meant to be that, because so much of the dialogue is meant to be between coach and student. But we get to collaborate between coach and parent to kind of have that high level overview. These are the things that we've been talking about. This is kind of where our conversation's been. It's where it is. And, we get to collaborate on the way that it moves forward. So, and to give you some perspective, we've served over 170 students. We have over 100 kids that are currently enrolled in the program. We've worked with kids in 4 different countries. I have kids in 14 different states that I'm working with. So keeping all those time zones straight, it's very, very fun when I'm doing my Google Calendar. So anyway, so that's in a nutshell. Kind of throughout this whole little spiel, I've given you guys kind of a taste, hopefully some helpful nuggets that you guys will be able to use just on your own right. And yeah, give you an intro there. And for those of you that already texted me, if you could do me a favor, these are just some of the modules that we use, some of the content, because some of you guys might be leaving this call like, how do we set some goals and how do we figure out where we go next? So totally free of charge. Anyone that sends me a text message with their email address, I will send you our goal setting module. It's really, really helpful. There's a self-assessment that's built into there where you kind of grade yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in these 7 kind of core areas of our life. And then it kind of helps you set SMART goals and whatnot. So it's a hopefully a helpful resource for you guys. So anyway, that is the bulk of what I wanted to chat with you guys about. I actually wanted to take a second to put Jen on the spot a little bit, and you know, I've been talking to you with you guys, however you want to look at it, for the last half hour or so. But I wanted to bring her into the fold and ask her a couple questions as a mom. So can I put you on the spot?
You sure can.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll stop the screen share for a second. All right, sweet.
Hey, and remember too, you know, if you chat, we're watching it, definitely ask questions. So Diego, actually, that he talked about is my son. So he's my 16-year-old. And when he started, well, he was 15, or yeah, he was 14 and a half when he started in the coaching. So he's been in almost 2 years. It's about to have his 2-year milestone. So
heck yeah. He's been so much fun. He's one of my favorite kids. He's not every kid that I get to coach asks me how I'm doing, and I'm like, it melts my heart. I'm like, you care too, Diego. So he's great.
Yeah,
so
he's a sweet kid.
So let me ask you this: as far as, you know, getting into coaching and, you know, entrusting like a third party person to have some really, you know, deep type conversations with your son, like, what would you say, in your opinion, has been a valuable part of kind of having somebody that's not mom and dad kind of have these types of conversations with them?
So prefacing, when I heard about the program, because I've been doing the adult version of Southwestern Consulting now for a couple years, like maybe almost 3 actually. And I've also do some coaching in my industry with top lenders. So I mean, I'm coachable. I've been a coach. I'm super into it, right? So you always hope that your kids are going to just by osmosis be coachable.
Yeah.
And luckily, Diego showed signs early on of being coachable. But the thing I liked about the program in the beginning is that you go through an interview. If the kid is not bought in, it doesn't work. So you guys don't do it. So the cool thing that has happened is that there have been times throughout this 2 years, you know, there's been ups and downs. I mean, Diego's gone through some stuff, and, you know, some stuff has been kind of major and some stuff is not. Some stuff is just like, we've been working on over a year getting his butt out of bed, like on his own. It's been a long time. And I love having, actually, I really enjoy talking to you once a month to just give you an idea of what I'm seeing on my end and hearing what y'all are going through. Because I don't poke too much, because, you know, when you ask teenagers too many questions, they kind of shut down. So I just let you know what I'm seeing at home and give you some intel about what's going on with him. And you're like, oh my God, this is so perfect. Okay, I'm going to weave this in to what I'm working with him on. So I think the collaboration of it has been really good. And I have noticed that I think being exposed to that is just the best gift that I could ever give Diego. And I just see him developing as someone who's working on himself, which is all I could ask for. And I just don't know if that would have I have no clue if that would have happened. You know, mom and dad don't know anything. So I don't know if that would have ever happened on his own. So I think that extra push, I mean, he really sees you as a mentor, big time, talks about you a lot. And, you know, when I said, oh, put your phone across your room and maybe that'll wake you up. And he's like, oh, Christian said to do that. I'm like, yes, he did. So of course now he does it because and so it's been, you know, it's been good. It's been heartwarming to see in the young people. I think that they really crave mentorship, and they get bits of it at school. And then at home, you know, we're all going, you know, we're between carpool and running around and working and all these different things. Like there's not as many teachable moments between you telling them to make their bed and wake up and be on time and, you know, where'd you leave your car keys? You know, I mean, like, it's just not in between all that stuff. There's just not as much time as I would like to give him that guidance. And so it's been really great to have that third party that he looks forward to it. He enjoys it. It's something that's his own that I don't really pry and ask him about it. So it's nice to have that safe that safe space with someone that's pretty close in age. Like all your coaches,
Yeah.
I think, are younger.
20s.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So it's been good. It's been good.
Actually, I lied. I'm about to turn 30 on Sunday.
Oh,
So
you're so
I'm
old.
entering a new decade of
A new
wisdom.
decade.
That's how I'm gonna look at it. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, how about one other question? What would you say, what's one thing that you've just appreciated seeing when it comes to Diego's growth over these nearly last couple of years?
So there was a poke you in the eye moment, like maybe a year ago, where your teenager does something, you're just like, I just want to poke you in the eye right now.
Yeah.
And I just said, hey, Diego. And I was talking to him about this and giving him just kind of what really was happening in reality. And he looked at me and he said, Mom, yes, you're right. And I was like, ooh, let's get the record, and Diego's really kind of always been that way, but he could have just argued and defensive. And he just said he was very coachable in that moment. So I see it working through his heart and through his openness to work on things and work on himself and, in a good way. Right. And push himself. And so that to me has been that one thing, that moment, I just really was like, yes,
Humility.
as far as him responding to the coaching that I was as a parent trying to give him, him having that now woven into him to where he's open to those kind of things. And he, like I said, he always has been, but when they're younger, they can turn super quickly the other way. It only takes one bad influence for them to kind of start going over a different path. So having that constant you in front of him, like I said, has been just the gift that keeps on giving, honestly, to his development and everything else. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, I appreciate you a ton. And, thank you so much for collaborating with me and getting to get some of this info out to families. And the final thing that I wanted to do here in our little slides. So for those of you guys that are parents, we're going to do a little text kind of what boat are you in type situation here. So if you've kind of heard this information, you're like, this is awesome. Like, I want my kid to talk to Christian. Shoot me a text message that says one, and I'll make sure to get a hold of you here. And we'll set up a time to set up one of our planning sessions. And just so you know what that is ahead of time, essentially a planning session is where we do a free one-on-one consultation where it's a conversation and self-awareness and where are you at with these things. And through that conversation, we're able to help students kind of identify some of those weak spots, some of those blind spots. And we kind of paint the picture for what coaching might look like for them based on kind of where they're at with all the material and all these kind of concepts. And then, like Jen said earlier, we don't want to work with kids if they don't think this is cool. Like the kid has to have some buy-in. They have to see the value and like it would be kind of fun to have somebody to talk to about these kind of things. And if they're kind of in that boat, that's a great boat. We love working with those kind of kids. They get tons and tons out of what we do. If you're in boat two, you're like, this sounds pretty cool. I don't know though. Like, would my kid respond well to it? And how does this or that work? Then that's a 2. Just go ahead, shoot me a text with a 2, and then we'll set up a conversation. Either way, we'll have a parent call before we do a planning session, but we'll specifically do a conversation to get those high level questions answered for you, get all the logistics kind of taken care of. And once it checks kind of mom and dad's boxes, so to speak, that's when we invite the kid to the planning session. We kind of set that up and run that. And then if you're a 3, totally cool, sounds all right, but just not really a fit for our family. And if you're in that boat, totally cool as well. For all of you guys that joined us this evening, I appreciate you. Hopefully you gained a nugget or two about how to grow over the summer. And no doubt, if there's one or two of those things that they apply and they work on through the summer, it could be the best summer yet, no question whatsoever. So anyway, appreciate y'all. And we're at the 44-minute mark. Okay,
love
not
it.
Bad.
Yeah, well, let's hang out a couple minutes for questions just in case anyone has.
Yes.
we'll hang out for
Good
that.
reminder. Yeah. So if
That's
anyone's
free.
got questions.
Yeah, and those watching, even if you watch this later, as I'm going to upload it to YouTube, there's just, I
Yep.
mean, email or text it. Actually, put up the slide that has your contact info again. The one
Oh
at the
yeah.
end.
Oh yeah. Duh. I should.
Yeah, because that's a cool free tool. And that's what I love. Southwestern has such cool materials and modules. And I know in the coaching that I do on the adult side, anytime I have an
Immensely
issue,
helpful.
Adam's like, I
You got
have a
an
module
answer.
for that. I'm like, yes, I know you do. With a
Yeah.
video, and I love it.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah. And I did want to mention this as well. If you have an organization or a team or some kind of group that you think would benefit from hearing this type of information, I give these free webinars whenever, basically. Not whenever, we'll have to schedule it, but you get the idea. So I'd love to talk to anyone that you think would benefit from hearing. So
Hey, tell me about y'all's initiative. I know y'all are trying to really
yes,
get into the underserved communities too. I mean, not everyone can pay for coaching, right? So you're super
exactly.
passionate about that.
Yeah. So we are looking to partner up with private organizations, whether that's on the funding side of things or on the foster care side of things. So we have a formal relationship with the foster care program right now that does through private funding. They help these kids kind of in that whole just really rough situation, right? When you don't have a forever home. So we have 5 kids currently enrolled right now that are on a full scholarship that they had to apply for to be in coaching. So fully funded through their organization. And for up to 2 years, they're able to get our coaching totally free of charge.
That's amazing. That's going to be cool to see.
So pumped.
Yeah.
So yeah. And honestly, we already have some people that are interested in funding. Obviously, we're always looking for more funding. But really, one of the things we're looking for is another foster care organization that we could partner up with because we've already garnered a bit of interest in some funding. So we're trying to find the right fit as far as an organization that gets the value of what we're doing and is open to some conversations about partnering up.
So if you have a contact for Christian to a foster care organization, you can message him too. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Exactly. Absolutely. Nice. Cool. Awesome. And I don't know if we have any questions, do we? I don't think I saw any in the chat box
yet. I'm actually going to ask you one. So Habit Share, yes. I just go download it, and is it free?
Totally free. Yeah.
It's wow.
That's it's a free. Yeah, it's a free app, and you basically edit whatever the habit is. You can do X amount of times a week, or you can go these specific days. So it really gives you some pretty cool ways to make the habit your own, to set it up very specifically. Yeah, and then cool. You can share it, right? So if mom hops on there and she creates her own account, then I know some of the parents I talk to, and I tell them about that, they're like, man, I could use that for some of the habits.
Yeah, I'm going to download it for me.
Yeah, it's in it. And honestly, that's a great side point is, when growth is a thing that the family is doing, and it's not just something that is, devoted to, you need to grow. It's like, we all need to grow in our own season that we're in. It can create kind of a fun, collaborative growth environment at the household for sure.
Hey, what's the youngest kids that y'all take? Is it 8th grade? What's the key?
Actually, no. So I actually work with an 11-year-old. So he actually just turned 11. So so he was 10, right? So wow. Our conversations look a little bit different. Yeah, it is. So they're a family that's been in our professional coaching for years, and they're just super pumped to get Henry talking to somebody just on even the bite-sized level that we're working on. And he's got habits like he wants to feed the dog. He's trying to contribute a little bit more around the house. He's working on skateboarding. He's working on basketball. He's working on doing spelling right after school, and he hates doing spelling, but he's been better at being proactive and not having his parents have to tell him to do it. So that's huge.
And the oldest is college, right?
The oldest is 29. I've coached a 29-year-old. So some of my age. Yeah. So now our average is 13 to 21, or not, that's on an average, but that's the more normal kind of range, but we have specific situations where kid graduated from college, kind of figuring out what the next steps are, for them in their life, and we can help kind of navigate them through those waters. And then there's some kids that are, young, and they don't necessarily like, you need vision, like, oh my gosh, 10-year-old, I'm going to help you map out your next 50 years. Like, that's not what we're doing. We do it on a small scale, and I always say that as a disclaimer, like, we're not we're going to help you figure out the next 50 years of your life kind of thing, because we can't do that, because kids grow, they mature, they change over time. But really what we're aiming to do, no matter what age level they're in, is help them be more equipped with the tools that they can use forever. So that way, by the time Henry's like 22, he's going to made like 10 vision boards, set all these different goals, and he'll have had a whole bunch of practice with these things, and get a lot, he'll be pretty, laser focused on knowing how to figure out what his vision is.
Nice.
Yeah.
We don't have any questions, so I guess just let's put the thing back up just for kind of exiting, and then you can always contact Christian on the side. And if you need a loan, call me. But I'm always here to loan money. But I'm so glad you came on, and thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you. There we go. I was fumbling with my technology over here for a second. There we go. Yeah. Thanks so much again for having me. I'm really, really pumped we got to do this tonight. It was awesome. Yeah, you got it. I'm just going to stop all the live streams really quick.